Welcome to Joy in Our Town. Today's special guest is Pastor Warren Beamer with the San Antonio Dream Center, serving San Antonio for over 7 years. If you feel like maybe you've been stuck in a hole and you need a God connection or intersection, or maybe you find yourself in an intense situation and you want to be more intentional about serving and helping meet the needs of San Antonio, you're going to want to stay tuned. We're starting now. Stay tuned for this encouraging word. Welcome to Joy in Our Town. San Antonio, you are in store for an amazing program today. I'm your host, Becky Spieth, and this is Joy in Our Town. Today's special guest is Pastor Warren Beamer from San Antonio Dream Center. Welcome to the program, Pastor Warren.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here.
How did you get started with the Dream Center here in San Antonio?
Well, you know, it was probably about 17 years ago. I was in California speaking at a conference, and I met a man named Matthew Barnett who had started the Dream Center in Los Angeles. He got to tell me his heart, what was happening. I immediately fell in love with it, and doing youth ministry for about close to 30 plus years. Youth ministry, you find people where they're at, you meet the needs for where they are, and then you try to help them reach the goals that God's got planned for them. It's what you do with youth. Well, you know, when I was no longer doing youth ministry, the simplest application for that same process started in a Dream Center application, where people were really hurting in really major places of need, whether it was families that were in financial declension, or it was homeless, or it was kids struggling on the streets, and finding people where they were at, helping them to meet the need of the current situation they're in, and then reach the goal for what God had planned for them, was a very natural application for the streets and for Dream Center. And so we started doing that right as soon as we kind of stepped away from youth ministry. 15 years ago, pastors Matthew and Tommy Barnett founded the LA Dream Center. Open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The Dream Center has over 200 community programs that are changing lives daily in the city of Los Angeles, feeding over 40,000 people every week. Daily rescuing teens from a life of drugs and violence. Teaching and providing schooling for forgotten children and teens. Providing for, caring for, and meeting the needs of tens of thousands of people, not just once a year or once a month, not even once a week, but every day of the week, 7 days a week for the last 15 years. 15 years ago in San Antonio, there were a total of 87,708 capital crimes. Today, that number has jumped to over 107,263 capital crimes. San Antonio needs a change, and we believe that change starts first in families' homes and in our community. Myself, Warren Beamer, along with a team of other nonprofits and ministries, dream of coming alongside San Antonio City Council and helping to be the front line in combating poverty, a lack of education, family violence, and a myriad of other things that contribute to San Antonio's rising crime rates. We believe that a Dream Center for San Antonio and surrounding South Texas would improve the community and quality of life for all of its residents. We've already started investing time, money, and efforts into the east side of San Antonio through our Adopt a Block program and reaching out to children all over the east side. The east side is one of the city of San Antonio's most beautiful but forgotten historical districts. With the acquisition of the Friedrich Building, located in the heart of San Antonio, downtown on the east side, we would be able to implement various programs to help reach and change lives all around us. We believe the city of San Antonio needs a Dream Center. Will you partner with us and make a stake in our city, in the community, and the lives of people too long forgotten? We are the Dream Center, and we believe San Antonio is for dreamers. The Dream Center, helping people find their dreams again and then reach them.
Here in San Antonio, I know the Dream Center is like a collaborative type of ministry. Can you
Yes,
tell
ma'am.
us a little bit more about what's all involved in it?
Well, Dream Centers is like it says. It's a place where we help people to dream again and then to reach those dreams. But you know, you can't really dream if you don't have food for your children at home. You can't dream if the roof that's over your head is letting rain in, or your kids don't have clothes, or it could be a number of things where your children and your family's in a problem with Child Protective Services, or the drugs or alcohol issues in your house. How can you dream if these things are happening to you? You just can't. You can't go beyond the basic problems, the needs, the whole. So we started as the Dream Center just trying to get people out of the hole. You know, supplying for people food, clothing, help with their housing. We've gone as little as to build ramps for the elderly, and as much to do complete renovations for grandmothers who had their children that were about to lose their children because the home that they were living in was so dilapidated, in such bad condition. Doing it in that fashion connected us with city and government agencies. We started working closely with our city council people and our mayor. We started working really closely with our Child Protective Service workers from Department of Family and Protective Services. And before we knew it, we were supplying not just clothes and food, but we were supplying bedding and cribs and car seats. And it's amazing when you start looking at the church community as a resource, because there are so many people in churches today that they just want the opportunity to give.
That's so true.
They just want the place. What do I do? How do I get involved? I've got these things at my home and I don't need them anymore. My kid's growing out of them. Somebody can use them.
February 2012, Relove was born. My passion for recycling had always been great, but never did I think that it would amount in clothing and toiletries, and it would expand in that area. So from then on, we've been able to not only recycle goods in our own home, but recycle clothing, recycle beds, and recycle home items, and being able to not only heal the earth in what we do every day, but every week we're able to heal hearts and heal families, and in restoring the small things that sometimes do matter in their lives.
And when we become that resource, all of a sudden we're putting these things in people's lives and into families that's totally turning their situation around. When we do it through Child Protective Services, now all of a sudden they're looking at us saying, well, can you help in this area? Can you help in this area? We've got a family where the mom is on drugs and the father is missing, and we've got to get the mother some help, and then we need to get the mother connected back to the child. So we started doing some case management with families, working with Child Protective Services and helping them to get that mother into a drug treatment counseling and into classes that would help them. And then that meant now we had to connect the child with them. So now we built supervised visitation rooms so that the Child Protective Service worker can come in, and as they work with them, the worker is there with the parent and the child, and they're connecting in our facility. And we have volunteers that volunteer to help greet them and come in and make it a joy when they're coming in, and maybe even help with the supervision as we get them qualified. And so many things run along that run. And then this stuff we did originally becomes this backside anecdote that just helps out in this major way. When, say, this father who might have just gotten out of prison, he's never seen his children before. He hasn't seen them in a long time. And he's getting to meet his kid. Or it's a mother who's lost their child to because she's got issues in her life and she hasn't seen her child in weeks, going through the process. And now she's getting to see her child again, and that child is, Mom, where have you been? What's going on? What's happening? I don't know what to do. And we're there to love them when they come in the door. We wrap our arms around them. We walk them back. We make sure that the kids got something to eat if they've not eaten, and the parent's comfortable. And then the worker comes in, and we get to combine it all and work in that scene where families are being put back together. And then we let them go back to our Dream Center rooms where it's full clothes closets where that parent can help that child pick out shoes. Even though might not be with them or might not live with them, might not ever really known them, they can pick out this new set of Nikes that we had donated from somewhere, or this pair of, I mean, nice stuff like True Religion jeans, or Levi's, or a suit because they're going to, you know, some special performance, and the parents get to pick this stuff out of things that have been donated to us. Our toy haul, where so many people have donated toys, and that dad might want to give his child a Hot Wheels toy for him to take home and remember him by. So that dad gets to go into the toy closet and pick out his gift for his child, or walk the child back from that visit, which normally is this very sterile, very supervised. People don't know how to act, but when you inject love in it, when you inject just the aura of who Christ is into this scene, it changes the scenario. This is our perishable food room. Everything from fruits, vegetables, meat. I mean, we're so happy. We get blessed so much by Daily Bread Food Bank and other places. But like this whole freezer here is full of chicken, whole chickens that we give out to families. And when you hand a whole chicken to a family, and they know they can feed their family that week, it's amazing to watch dads respond, because they know they're feeding their children. They know they're not just scraps, but we're giving them whole chickens. We're giving them, like, this is one of the things we've just gotten in this week, whole boneless hams. I mean, when you can put that in a family's life, and they spread that over several days of meals that they fix for their family, you're impacting lives. You're touching people with the real love of Jesus, not the love of Jesus that just says, I want to tell you something and pray over you for a second and then walk another way. You're literally making an impact in who they are, and it's the difference. It's what makes what the church does carry some weight, count, actually look real. And it's things like this where other ministries that donate to us and allow us to do it. Man, what Daily Bread puts into us every single week, milk, vegetables, meat like this, all kind of things like that. It makes us able to touch the people in the community. I mean, from anybody. I've got to go today and pick up from the mayor's house the kitchen set that her daughter used for years as she was growing up, in dolls and toys, because our mayor said, I want this to be in another family that can use it. And it's literally believers like that all over the city that give little pieces of themselves, even pieces they don't count anymore.
Right.
That all of a sudden we get to put into families. It turns the scenario around, and all of a sudden there's a change in this life.
From Maine to Maui, thousands of high school students across the country are getting in on the action by volunteering in their communities.
Action teams of high school students are joining Volunteers of America and Major League Baseball players to help train and inspire the next generation of volunteers.
It's easy to start an action team at your school, so you too can get in on the action.
Are you in? Get in on the action at actionteam.org.
Then it goes into homeless, where we do with Thrive Ministries and Pastor Mark Johnson. We get to doing homeless breakfast on Saturday mornings, lunch at noontime, where they come by and get a bagged lunch, just a helping hand. And or it might be our English second language classes, our job placement classes. In our clothes closet, we have a rack of just suits and business dresses. So the ladies and men that come in, they might have a court appearance that they've got to do, or a job interview. They can pick out the clothes they can wear so they can look professional when they walk in. And there's so many different aspects like that. Even our prom dresses. We do a prom dress event in the spring, where we line up 200 to 300 prom dresses, and we have young ladies that come in that they don't have any chance to get anything else. And they walk in, and our ladies walk them through the dresses, and they pick out what they want. Then they get to go pick their shoes out.
Oh, nice.
And then, you know, ladies with their shoes.
Oh, yes, that's the important part.
And so they got their dress on, and they're checking the shoes out, and then somebody else will look at it and maybe tell them, okay, now you're going to need to do your makeup this way, or look for this kind of hairdo. And we see these teenagers that wouldn't have any other choice walk out with these beautiful outfits and glowing, and moms and dads are in tears. Because
sure.
they never thought they could do that for their kid. And it's just a prom dress, but it's the church showing the love of Jesus Christ in the simplest ways. And people are walking out with this joy that's in them that just blows them away. And we get to be part of it.
It's
we
so
get
cool.
to interact in it.
Yeah.
So it's just amazing. It is a conglomerate. We've only touched. That's just an inkling of what happens that comes through every single week in the Dream Center.
It sounds like the environment could be a little intense, though. You mentioned some things that, drug use, gangs, some different things like that. Is it an intense ministry, or can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Well, we're in an intense area. Mm-hmm. We have 3 locations, east side, south side, and a west side location. And all the areas are really intense. I've watched drug deals go down right on the corners of our parking lot. I've watched situations with prostitutes in a brothel that was right next door, where we've watched those scenarios go on very regular. We've had violence happening in our parking lot in the middle of the night to homeless that have been sleeping there, where we've actually had people die, homeless that have been killed there in our parking lot. So it's not a faint of heart. At the same time, it's not a place for those faint at heart, but at the same time, the love of Christ being used in that area has already changed the house next door to us.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's changed the neighbors across the street. It's changed the homeless scenario and scene. We've already seen a difference being made in the intensity of the neighborhood, because what's inside is getting outside the doors. Pastor Isaac Anaya and his family and the team that he has, they walk the blocks around our Dream Centers every week. We knock on the doors, not just waiting for them to come to us, and not just having to have some big need, but Pastor Isaac will literally go door to door and say, Dream Center. He knocks on the door, and people at first, they don't know who we are, and they're like, yeah, who are you? And he starts to share the love of God with them, and just ask them plain and simple, is there anything that you need? We're the Dream Center. Can we help you in any way? And we find it might be an elderly person who doesn't have a back door in their house. It's just a sheet that's covering the back entryway. And they eventually say, well, I need a back door. And he says, okay, we'll get that. Let me see it. And we'll get it lined out. And we put it in front of a construction company that works with us. And they bring a door over and hook up this family. There's a company that we work with, Elmer's On Time Heating and Air. Any air conditioning units in these poor families that need servicing, we walk in and they say, well, we don't have heat right now. Can you imagine if you couldn't supply heat for your kids? And all I got to do is call Elmer. And Elmer, boom, he gets his team and other Christians come over and they start to work and they make sure this family has heat before we leave the deal.
Volunteer for Dream Center San Antonio today!
All of a sudden now where the enemy reigned, we put a foot down and said, now the love of Christ reigns. It starts to change the dynamic. The paradigm shifts in the neighborhood. People start to smile better. They're receiving you. They're not hiding when you walk around the corner. They're opening the door quicker. And now it's not just the needs that they have, but they're saying, can you pray with me about this? And my son's in drugs. Can you reach out to him? And all of a sudden it opens up the doors. And then we get to reach out into all these other nonprofits that work with us, and like Thrive and like Liberty Builders and other places, and we get to say, here, will you help us with this need? Blue House, a ministry that works with men and combining men back with their children when they've been separated. They'll come in. Fatherhood Matters, and we get to spread because we don't want to reinvent the wheel.
Right.
We just want to go somewhere. And if you've got a nonprofit that will touch the need that we're running into, hey, will you come help us and touch that need? Now you have what we're doing added to you, and we have what you're doing added to us. One will put 1,000 a flight,
yes,
and two will put 10.
Yes.
And we've watched that go on right where we are. So it's intense. It's not for the faint of heart, because we've had some pretty major things happen, but the love of God has already changed what's around us to where when people walk in that door or right around the vicinity where we are, you're feeling the presence of God really change people's lives. The intensity around us, we've got to be intentional to the point that the intensity in us is greater than the intensity that's coming at us.
Oh, that's good. Say that one more time.
We've got to be intentional that the intensity in us to love people, to follow Christ, to believe in what He'll do for us and trust Him that He's keeping us, that the intensity in us is greater than the intensity that'll come at us. When we've got that, we shift that, we turn it around. That intentionality that you mentioned is the key, because if I'm not intentional, then the slightest thing, if it's my neighbor next door rebuffing me because I tell him God bless you, or my boss at work when I put up my fish on my computer, or I'm loving somebody in a neighborhood that's rougher than mine, that intentionality that I'm here because the blood of Jesus Christ is over me and God has set me here and He will keep me. When that intensity of that's there, we can overcome the other intensity that comes at us. And we don't have to run away. We can stay right where we are, hold our ground, and watch God do a work of deliverance. We get in this place to where we think, well, I've had a divorce, or I'm sick at this place, or I've lost this job, or I've done this thing. And we get to thinking, I don't have a value.
Right.
I mean, it's not just the world that deals with this. The church deals with that on a daily basis. One of the greatest things about Dream Center is I get to take the hand of people that have been hurting, that might not think they have a value, bring them into a scene, and they're believers. And all of a sudden, they're making the impact into this family's life. And they think they don't have the ability to do that. They don't think that they have the wherewithal. They don't have the knowledge, the strength. And just through a little bit of training and the certifications we put them through, all of a sudden, they're changing people's lives when before they had no value. Or even believers that don't think there's a value to them in Christ, that they can walk forward and all of a sudden be used by God, can be in a place where God is bringing them forward and changing lives from whatever background they come from. God's put it under the blood.
Yeah.
He's saved them, changed them, done whatever He's need to do, and now He's ready to keep using them. So it's a dream center for not just the world, it's a dream center for the church. That God does crazy things. In fact, tell you the truth, it's the ones, Pastor Isaac, he got saved while he was in prison. His testimony that he gives of all the things that he went on, from the things that got him into prison to the things that were around him, and that God brought him out, and now he ministers all over this community. The man that runs our building, Dream Center Wise, Frank, he got saved, and then through what was happening around him, went to prison. And then in the middle of it, God solidified his life, brought him out, and now he feeds and clothes people every single week. I could tell you story after story. Miss Noemi, who is one of the directors for our division that works with our child protective service workers and families, her and her husband went through a major disruption in their marriage that almost destroyed what they were. But from that, they now build families and they build lives off of what they went through that was destruction. If there's believers out there that think that there's not a place for them anymore in the body of Christ, they can't be used, it's just the devil lying to them.
That's true.
He's tricking them to tell them, you ain't got no value, when really God's increasing.
Yes.
He's making you more applicable to people that you never would have met before.
Right.
All of a sudden now you're reaching into lives and changing them from a place that you thought you no longer had a value.
Thank you so much. I want to be able to make sure your volunteers can connect with you.
Yes, ma'am.
So I want to give your contact information. Thank you so much for
Thank
being
you.
with us. To connect with Pastor Warren Beamer at the Dream Center, it's P.O. Box 830689, San Antonio, Texas, 78283. By phone 210-392-6157 or on the World Wide Web at sadreamcenter.org. The best way to connect with Pastor Warren is on Facebook under Pastor Warren Beamer. Thank you for joining us for Joy in Our Town.